Hey guys, Logan here from Pop Wood. So a recent fix of mine, kind of a, I don't want to call it hyperfixation, but a recent hobby of mine has been kind of exploring building chairs. So I had a friend of mine, Rusty Chernis, come in to the shop here, and we built this democratic chair. I also built a stool on our TV show, The Woodsmith Shop, that's on PBS for season 18. And I have cut a bunch of these white pine blanks to make additional chairs. It was a process that I really enjoyed. So I kind of want to walk you through doing one of these seats because I do get a lot of questions about them, just as a general question. So as you can see here, this seat pan is carved out. The highest spot is kind of where your back of your thighs would be sitting, and then that back where those spindles go into. But then where you sit is dished out nicely. So traditionally, a chair seat would be carved out with this tool called a scorp. And this is really a rough tool. This is to make really big cuts, and it works well if you skew it across the grain, and especially in this white pine. Now, it doesn't leave a really great surface. You can, once you get down to your finished shape, you can make some light kind of shaving cuts and get these really nice kind of curly shavings. But generally, we would come back with a tool here called a travisher, and this is more of, think of this like a smoothing plane for doing chair seats, and you can really quickly refine a shape and make it nice and smooth and really get a polished surface. But when you start thinking about doing multiples of these chairs, at least for me, I have really bad tennis elbow, and if you have arthritis, doing a bunch of these can get a little intense on the hands and the elbows and your joints. You can definitely do it, but you just might have to go slow. So today I want to show you how I would carve these out with a power carver. And the power carver that I'm going to use here is an ArborTech, and this is using their cutter in here called the Turbo Plane. And this Turbo Plane is a real rough removal tool. It's really going to hog away a lot of waste quickly, but then we can come back and refine it with a new product from ArborTech called the Turbo Scraper. So let me go ahead and get this chair off, get safety glasses on, and we'll start with this Turbo Plane to remove a lot of this material, and we'll come in with the Turbo Scraper. So as you can see, that power carver, this ArborTech and that Turbo Plane, takes this down really quickly. Now, this seat blank isn't one that I'm actually going to use. I would have actually drilled my holes in my spindle things and everything before I started shaping this seat. This one has a couple of big knots in here that I don't really want to fight, so I'm not going to worry about it. But this Turbo Plane, with it having 3 blades in it, and they're kind of, they're not perfectly semicircle, but they're kind of oblong. That allows you to do a lot of removal really quickly. Now, I'm going to point out that this is a 4.5-inch disc. It would probably fit on most angle grinders. However, the ArborTech has a couple of features like the ability to slow it down that really make it suited for this. I mean, the company that makes the cutter makes this grinder as well, and it just is, it's designed for it. So that's what I'm going to use it in. But here with that Turbo Plane, I've taken away a lot of material. As you can see though, this Turbo Plane is definitely a rough stock removal tool. It doesn't leave a super smooth surface. Now, I could probably come back in here with the travisher and start cleaning up some of this, but again, that doesn't help any tendonitis or any arthritis that somebody may have. So with that in mind, we're going to switch over to a new tool from ArborTech. This is the Turbo Scraper. So looking at the Turbo Scraper versus the Turbo Plane, you can see there's a little bit of difference here. The cutter on this one, it actually has some positive rake, meaning it is leaning into the cut. This one actually is leaning away and has a shearing angle. So this is going to be a lot less aggressive when it is removing the surface. So this is more like a card scraper. It's going to refine. So let's take a look and see how this cuts. So as you can see, the Turbo Scraper is used on edge, and That actually really helps refine the seat, especially on something like this chair, because that curvature is helping bring in that shape. And you can clearly see the difference between that turbo scraped surface and this surface from the turbo plane. Now I will point out, as you are working with the turbo scraper, changing the speed is actually changing how this tool cuts. And what I mean by that is working with something like this pine, where we have early wood and late wood, which is the difference between the light grain and the dark grain on this seat. They're different hardnesses. So some areas want to get cut away faster than others. And the slower you go on this ArborTech with that turbo scraper, the more that difference is pronounced, so you get a little more texture on the seat. By speeding up this ArborTech, you can actually get a little bit smoother surface. So really you can dial in that look and feel that you're wanting. Now I think there's some other really cool possibilities with this new turbo scraper, and I think this is one that I really want to experiment with at the lathe, because I think it would be really cool to turn the outside of a bowl or a vessel, then come through and texture the outside with something like this, and it just brings a new element into turning. So if you are looking to do any sort of carving in your shop, don't think that we have to be stuck with hand tools. They are fun to use, but when you have a lot of material to remove, or maybe you have some arthritis, or you just want to see what power tools will do, take a look at the turbo scraper or the turbo plane from ArborTech. It's a great option to get a lot of work done in your shop.